Welcome to City Cinematheque, where the art and pleasure of the movies are the subject of serious discussion. I'm your host, Jerry Carlson, and I teach film studies at the City College of the City University of New York. Today, we have a special edition, and it's our special pleasure to present the 1972 classic avant-garde film, Reminiscences of a Journey to Lithuania by Jonas Mekas. This is the story of his return to see his mother in Lithuania after a 25-year separation. It's in the form of a diary film, and of course, Jonas Mekas is one of the great masters of that cinematic form. And it's also a special event today that after today's screening, we will be in the studio of Jonas Mekas discussing this film with him. Now, enjoy your own journey to Lithuania in this classic film. Welcome back to City Cinematheque. I hope you've enjoyed this rare opportunity to see Reminiscences of a Journey to Lithuania by Jonas Mekas. And it's a great privilege to have today on City Cinematheque Jonas Mekas. And as you might already begin observing, it doesn't look like the normal backdrop of City Cinematheque because we have the pleasure of talking with Jonas in his studio here in Brooklyn. Jonas, thank you for the welcome into your studio and for sitting down to chat with us about genuinely one of the great classics of American avant-garde cinema.
Happy to, to be on your show.
We're happy to have you here. One of the first things that I think people will think about after they've seen this film, after they've learned a bit about your life, about your return, etc., is if there are people who have a memory of 40 years ago, of what relations were like 40 years ago of the Cold War, there's going to be this big question of how did he do this? Because there weren't a lot of independent American avant-garde filmmakers who make diary films going into and getting permission to do that. So how did this happen, Jonas?
I will try. It's a very curious and funny story. I will try to be very brief. It began with The Brig, my film, The Brig, which Soviets considered anti-American film because it's a very brutal presentation, recreation of the army prison.
Right.
So since The Brig was anti-American film, the maker should be, me, Jonas, should be also considered as an anti-American. So when at some point Yuri Zhukov, cultural editor of Pravda, wanted to meet Allen Ginsberg and interview him also, as Allen Ginsberg is also another anti-American, you know.
In their view, right.
In their view.
Yeah.
He thought maybe Jonas could introduce me to Allen. So he came to New York. I introduced him to Allen and to some other people that he wanted to interview. And we became sort of friends. Yeah. So when in '71 I was invited to the Moscow Film Festival, I came there with my Bolex, and I thought, why not to pay a visit to Yuri Zhukov? And so I made a call, and she said, come. And you can see the panic of some of the people who, you know, of the festival that I was part with when they discovered that this guy from New York, this Lithuanian, who is he, this anti-American, has been invited by Yuri Zhukov to Pravda. No, so they took me there, and there I had some tea with Yuri Zhukov, and then I went back to the festival grounds. The festival ends. Instead of going back to New York, I decided I should visit my mother. So I said, could you take me to Lithuania, to Vilnius? So, oh no, that is impossible. You have to go, it will take you 2 months to get permission. Impossible. I said, could I call Yuri Zhukov? Oh no, it's fine. We'll take you to Lithuania. We'll take you to Lithuania. They take me to Vilnius. I said, now I would like to, could you take me to my village? I would like to see my mother. Oh, no. Any Lithuanian who visits Lithuania these days, we will bring your mother to you here in Vilnius. You cannot leave. You have you are not going to get any permission to go and visit, to leave Vilnius. I said, could I call Yuri Zhukov? Oh, fine, good. Yeah, we will take you to your village. No problem. So, but I would also, like to film here. Is, right. I have. No, you cannot do that. We will give you a crew. We will give you lights. Everything that you need will be there. I said, no. I have my bollocks. I don't need anything. Just take me to my mother. So they took me, and of course I filmed. They had Absolutely. No choice, because thanks to Yuri Zhukov, because they got confused. Maybe I am agent, maybe I'm an agent. But all the time that I was there with my mother, my brothers, I could, the truck was there, like not very far. I could even see it. And not only loaded with cameras, but we don't know what other equipment they had. So I had to be very careful. We had to be careful, how loud we speak and what we say and where we are. And they had also somebody always with us from the party, not very far, and we did not know where some taping and tools are, in what bush.
Right.
But I managed to get all that I wanted, thanks to this strange...
This fellow who wanted to know Allen Ginsberg, all these anti-American Americans, and that influence. Well, we'll talk about this as a personal film, but apart from its extraordinary artistic value as a personal film, there's simply the fact that there's so little we've ever seen inside Lithuania from that particular era.
No, nobody was permitted, really. Nobody was permitted to go into from any visitor Absolutely. Into the village. And the local filmmakers were controlled also. They were not using 8mm or 16mm where you could sort of easily film. Right. It was always 35, more cumbersome and more
industrial.
And films had to be approved. There was no home movie making. There was absolutely no. It was all controlled. Where you can buy film, who could buy film, motion picture film. So no footage exists really.
Well, so when you got this permission, and obviously it's a major thing for you and your brother to be able to see to see your mother, but the shape that we ultimately have of this film, because it's in the 3 parts about your arrival, then we have the large section, which is of the visit to Lithuania, and then we have the final, the 3rd part of that. Was this notion that this was going to be a diary film, or was this?
No, I just wanted to record some of my memories, my childhood places, and to have some, because I was, in 1971, the relations between United States and Soviet Union were such that none of us had any hope that Lithuania will ever be free. And this, to me, was the last chance, the only chance to get some images of, places and some details of related to my childhood and my family. And I thought I filmed and I developed, looked at it, and I put it on the shelf. What I had forgotten, though, that I had my camera broke down just before I left for Lithuania. I had to buy a new Bolex, and I had no money. So and it happened so that somebody from German television was in town, and she said, I will buy you all the film you need, and then I will buy you a new Bolex just for the rights to premiere it on German television. So it was fine. But I came back home and I forgot about it. On December 20th or so, I received a call from Hamburg that it will be premiered on the 3rd of January. Send it a copy of the film immediately. What? So I had like 10 days to finish it. So I got the film, and very fast I edited, I put it together in like 2 days, then immediately to the lab, and I made it. It was premiered in Germany.
And that's the film we saw tonight.
Yes, yes. So it was done very fast, and that's the only way I could do it because the material was too close, too personal. So I without any thinking, I just had to do it almost mechanically and very fast. In Germany, the refugee problem also was very sensitive, East-West Germany. So that the film really was, they kept bringing it back on television in Germany. It became very successful on German.
You know, I have to say that, again, say the phrase to somebody who's not knows this history, like DP, displaced person, you know, is not a phrase now used at all, although the relevance of the film couldn't be higher because the occurrence of DPs in the world, it happens to be different flows of people from different places, is arguably at an all-time high. There's more people on the move, you know, not for reasons of their own making, in the same way that you as a young man experienced this devastation of World War II and the multiple displacements that you chronicle in the film. So when it was during these 10 days that the idea of going back and getting this footage from the Catskills that you had shot really, you know, came together, pulled together.
Yes, I thought that should be some, you know, I should place it in some perspective, some framework, you know, where I am, you know, and why I want to go back, and then of course coming back through Austria also it relates because during the German occupation, myself, my brother, we were working in the underground press, and we were about to be arrested, and we had somehow to disappear. We decided to go to Austria, to Vienna, and so that, it said our train was, however, turned towards Hamburg, and we ended up in forced labor camp. So we never reached Vienna. So I felt that from Lithuania I should go now, my chance really to go to Vienna. And Vienna became very important really in my life, indirectly because some of my best friends, filmmakers, architects like Raymond Abram and Peter Kubelka, the action performance artist Hermann Nietzsche, they're all from Vienna. So,
well, in fact, I was just chatting with you before we came on camera that as we're taping this in 2013, both Peter Kubelka and Ken Jacobs, who figure in the last section of the film, remain some 40 years later close friends and will be, just as you're premiering a new work this year at Anthology Film Archives, both of them will be celebrated for some of their work. So there's this through line of friendship that goes back well more than 40 years that we see at a particular moment in this last section of the film. So let's talk a little bit about how you got not to make this specific film, but did German television, did they expect this to be a Jonas Mekas film that is a personal film in this way? Was that their expectation?
They were familiar with my work because my work had been shown in Hamburg, and the guy who offered me to buy the camera and the film and was in charge of a special program on television was from Hamburg, so he was familiar with my work. And he knew that this was the only chance to get some footage maybe from Lithuania, because I already was planning. I told him that I will try to go to my village when I'm in Moscow.
Right.
You see, I was not sure I will succeed, but it happened so that it was very easy.
As we would joke today, it was a win-win situation for everybody. You get a camera, you get to shoot, now you can shoot if you get the permission, and then they get something they can't get from anybody else, because they can't send a camera crew there in any...
Actually, there is one more detail that, okay, I finished the film, and then a few months later, the Serebrakov, Gospodin Serebrakov, who was in charge of the film export, came to New York with the star of Solaris, Tarkovsky's Solaris, Banionis, who happened to be, when I was a kid, he started a theater branch in one of the towns, and I was part of that theater group. He was like my teacher. But they have heard about the film.
Oh.
And they wanted to see, Serebrakov wanted to see the film. So I said, okay. So I screened the film to him and to Mr. Banionis, and he is outraged. He says, don't destroy it immediately. How do you dare to show this film to anybody? Because already it was shown in Germany, so they have heard about it. So you don't show the progress. What is the progress? What we did in Lithuania? You show this, your mother cooking there outside, and what is this? Destroy it. So he said, and then he got into the fight with Banionis, who was defending the film. And it was, and he said, no, I said, I'm not going to destroy it.
Well, we thank you for that, Jonas. Well,
yeah, but I did not go to film the progress. I went to film my childhood. No.
Well, now, so then this leads me to a pretty obvious follow-up question of when was the film finally shown in Lithuania, and what was the Lithuanian response to it?
I think it was shown, now when you are asking me, it may have been only after 1990. Yeah. But it may have shown already. There was some relaxation during between after 1980 or so. It may, I don't, they had copies, but not officially, not officially.
And so you as a filmmaker, as a multimedia artist, which you certainly are today, but also as a poet, so then it's after 90 that you were...
As a filmmaker. As a poet, they could not deny that, because somehow they had already published. It happened so that my first volume of poetry dealt with the village in a very documentary, realistic way, and it fit somehow into the aesthetics of that accepted aesthetics of social realism.
By coincidence, as it were.
By coincidence. So that was published already before the collapse of...
No, I had not known that, and so in fact, your name, you know, as an artist within Lithuanian culture was there.
Yes, as a poet, even today they consider that my film making I'm just wasting my time making films, because you know why poets should make films.
Well, happily, we don't think you're wasting your time, Jonas. Let's go back just a little bit in certain sense, to the ramp up to this film, because you began with your own aesthetics, but you began actually with a couple of films, you know, with The Brig, which really tell a very traditional story. It may be a hard-hitting story. It may be something that can be interpreted, you know, as a severe criticism, etc.
But the technique was almost the same as I'm using now in my diaristic kind of approach to cinema when I film real life, you know, daily insignificant moments of our existence. But I filmed a real event, very carefully staged piece of theater, very brutal piece, but using newsreel men's camera, Oricon, that recorded sound and image same time. A camera used usually by newsreel people that you can immediately develop and project fast. And I went I treated that play as like, suppose it's real event. And I'm a newsreel guy. And went and disrupted the situations, mise-en-scènes there, like you disrupt real life sometimes. And so that my approach was a little bit similar to what I'm doing now, like treating, just catching moments of real life with my own temperament, so to speak.
Well, so one of the through lines of all your film work, and we're going back 60 years, is actually the development of all of these technologies that allow film to get closer to daily life, daily experience, and that because you
see, in a way, I'm an anthropologist. I'm interested in certain moments of humanity today, to record them for myself and share them with others. Like those, like Lomax, when he went with tape recorder recording music. And the new technologies permit me, like Bolex, I always had a little tape recorder in Sony in my pocket, recording some of the sounds of the same situation. But with Sony video, I can go into any situation and wait and record when I feel I should. This is something, it's an intense, special moment, and you know, I'm trying to record it as close as I can. And the new technologies permit me to do that.
Well, and so there's this way in which, you know, your aesthetic or your desire as an artist goes back to technologies that could get you closer, but really this digital revolution that we're now in the midst of at the beginning of the 21st century gives you more of the tools that you've always wanted.
Yes, the only problem with tools are that those tools keep changing so fast. And it's not because of the maker's wishes or artist's wishes. No, we don't make decisions at all. It's all industry. Those who, because new technologies permit you also to make money with those technologies. So very often, you know, in order to see the footage that I took 5 years ago, I have to go to eBay to look for the old technology and to try. It happened like at Anthology Film Archives. We happen to have a huge collection of the video art from the 70s, 80s. And it's on formats that nobody can see, and very difficult to find even locate technology that would help us to transfer it to current formats. Of course, we do that, and also it's an expensive proposition. So that's the negative, the bad part of the new technologies. In film, of course, also kept changing from 35 silent to 35 sound, from black and white to color, then to 16 millimeter came in, then 8 millimeter, then all other formats.
Absolutely. Super 16.
But still, it was easier to work with the same formats, the transfer, and stable. The video, Nam June Paik, the great visionary of video, used to laugh at us in the 70s. Oh, you know, your films will crumble and fade, and we are now in the new technology. And all, you know, our films are still there. And they will be there under good temperature controlled conditions. The color, the film will can remain 100 years and more.
Great observation for us to end on this prospect that we're going to be able to see these things for the next 100 years or so. If you've enjoyed this conversation with Jonas Mekas and seeing this wonderful film, you're probably going to be interested in City Cinematheque and the other programming at City University Television. If you'd like to find out more, please visit our website. That's at www.cuny.tv. You'll find click-ons there to know about more of our programming and also to write to us with your comments or your suggestions. So please visit www.cuny.tv. Jonas, I want to thank you again for a very fast 30 minutes about a very, very rich life and rich film. I look forward to any other opportunities we may have to be screening your work, and it's been a great pleasure being with you today.
It's my pleasure too.
Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us here on City Cinematheque, and please join us again as we stroll through the archives of film history. Bye-bye for now.